There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping. clearing up. Rain should be gone for now. Nothing but sunshine all day.
I used to have to go in to the auto parts store. Pay too much, never find quite what I'm looking for. Now I just go online to Rock Auto and see all the parts my car will ever need. Lower prices, more parts, more brands. It's so easy to find the right parts fast. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto. All the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallenVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service, interests, and hobbies. FallenVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallenVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallenVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. We are getting ready to tackle the Rock Auto 250. I do want to go ahead and state, just to let everybody know, this is not actually a 250-mile race. This is actually a 313-mile race, so a little bit of an issue there when it comes to the race name. But either way, we're going to have fun because we are at none other than Alabama's finest racetrack, Big Bad Talladega. And I, of course, am super, super excited about this 2.66-mile racetrack. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. We have none other than Big Al in the booth here tonight. We're definitely glad to have Big Al here for sure. Of course, Kobe Jordan down behind the camera is going to be bringing us all the awesome camera angles. Of course, rolling the production as well. We have some new musical things and features that we're going to be debuting here tonight, so definitely looking forward to seeing how that turns out. But Big Al, how are you doing, man? We're going to be going racing here at a place you're pretty familiar with.
Sorry about that, Brian. Had a little ATVO issue. Super excited to be back, as well as to be back at Talladega, man. A super speedway greets us all, Brian. So I think we're going to get a little bit, I know we're going to get a lot different than what we've had here for the actual last couple of weeks as well, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely going to be different here tonight. But then again, I think it's going to be very clean. Last week, of course, at Texas Motor Speedway, we saw a caution-free race, except for, of course, the caution flags for the stage breaks. So that was very, very impressive of the boys to be able to be able to do that. And I think we're going to see maybe something similar here tonight. Of course, ISCA always known for being some of the cleanest racing on the iRacing service. And I think it's going to be the same here tonight. Of course, we do have a new face here. It looks like a Dylan Banks joining in the show here tonight. So interesting to see the number 70, see what he's able to do, as it looks like practice is wrapping up. I think qualifying is getting ready to begin. Let's take a look while they're getting ready to qualify. Let's look at the details of tonight's race. Of course, I talked about it being 313 miles. That equals 118 laps at this place. So definitely going to be a long one, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle up. Have your snacks next to you because you're not going to want to miss this one. Stages are, of course, 24 and 53. And, of course, those stage points going to be incredibly valuable. They're going to make these drivers really aggressively trying to get to the front to get those points. Anybody could win this race here tonight. Of course, fuel window is 38 laps. We don't even worry about tires here at Talladega. I doubt we'll really it'll be a conversation point at all, unless someone accidentally takes them. Possibly that would be maybe a mistake, or it could be maybe tires do wear. We'll have to wait and see. Big Al, what do you think about that? Crickets. All right. Let's take a look at the points in this tonight's race. I'm sorry, Big Al. We just now
ATVO.
All righty. Let's take a look at the points coming into tonight's race. All right, we got him up here on the screen. Of course, Derek Heitman at the top of the board. He's got about a 9-point lead on Matt DeCiani. Of course, a very good run last week for the Team Conti boys. Very good run, I'd say, all season for the Team Conti group. Of course, Derek Heitman, of course, 2 wins on the season, 6 top 5s. Very great run. I mean, last week, I know he didn't even look that impressive until he got to the front and started driving his way forward. Was able to finish, I do believe, in the top 5. So really awesome job to him. Of course, Matt DeCiani, he's been very consistent. Has not nabbed that win, but the consistency has led to him being second in the points right now. Patrick Gitter, he's as well been very consistent. He's the third. Brian Johnson, he's in fourth. Randy Mullins, of course, was, I do believe he dropped a position since last race. Of course, he's been up in fourth and has definitely been running really, really good this year. Brandon Pasalacqua, I do believe he's taking a provisional tonight. I think Randy Mullins as well. So we will not see the Mullins or Pasalacqua in the event here tonight. Miller Bonds, he's, of course, 7th. Abner Acosta, 8th. Abner's been really consistent. 9th, of course, Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson had Clayton Hoffman sub in for him last week. Josh Schaffner, of course, he is taking a provisional as well. Now, I do want to mention a lot of we keep hearing that word provisional, Big Al. That means that drivers are not going to be participating in the event. So essentially, they're going to still garner some sort of points. But I want to point at who the drivers that are taking the provisionals are. Now, Josh Schaffner, Brandon Pasalacqua, Randy Mullins. This is very big, because we all know how Talladega is, Big Al. It's a team sport. Talladega is all about having a teammate, and that's 3 Paradigm drivers out of the race. Big Al. All right, I don't know if you're talking, we can't hear you.
ATVO. Hey, so once again, I was talking, but got my ATVO issues that I'm working. Yeah, it definitely, but I don't know if that's more strategic, because when you said some of those guys were actually taking provisionals at Talladega, it really doesn't make sense unless grandma's kicked the bucket or something like that. This is one of those racetracks where you should just show up, because it really, I mean, it takes talent, but it's a freebie kind of.
Well, I mean, my kind of point on that was about it being a team race. I mean, Talladega, if you have a team of 5, that's huge. If you could work together, and you're really good at pushing, you have the right setup, and you have a game plan, you could dominate a race here at Talladega. And that's what is kind of confusing me, that the majority of the Paradigm group not going to be here. That is just a little odd to me. But it looks like I do believe qualifying is getting ready to wrap up. I think we'll go ahead and take a step away. We'll pay some attention to our sponsors, of course. But before that, of course, we'll play our national anthem. We'll be right back.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Driver, start your engine!
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. Of course, we're at Talladega, one of the, actually the biggest oval on the NASCAR schedule, so definitely going to be an exciting one here tonight. Of course, I do believe we have the actual grid all set, and Miller Bonds earns the pole here tonight, so definitely very fast race car that Miller Bonds has unloaded here. Of course, Patrick Gitter is going to manage to get that second spot. Let's see what the lap time difference is here. Not very much. 0.02 of a second between first and second place. Tim Warman Jr., very good qualifying effort for him. He looked really good last week. He, of course, is going to be starting in third. Derek Heitman, he's going to be starting fourth. Matt DeCiani in fifth here. Brian Johnson is going to be starting in sixth place. Dylan Banks, new driver to the series, he's going to be starting in seventh. Jeremy Sumter is going to be starting in eighth. Kenny Powell in ninth. And Randy Belk rounds out the top 10.
And that is going to put Kyle Holden in 11th with Darren Mullins starting off in 12th. Jay Schultz starts off in 13th. Chris D. Johnson in 14th. Mark Sanchez finds his way in the 15th with Jeffrey Ford on his outside. Greg Wachinski in 17th. Blair Holloman 18th. And on last but not least, Jay Hone and Derek Jacobs rounding out the top 20.
Frank Flores is going to be starting in 21st. Nick King in 22nd. 23rd, Andrew Griesbaum. 24th, new driver Matthew Cisna. 25th, Jose Medina. 26th, a driver we haven't seen in, a month or so, Shane Parrish. David Centini. Now, this is the driver I'm watching. He was really good at the beginning of the season at Daytona. He started 27th, Paul Olson 28th, John Bender in 29th, Alexander Carr 30th, Barry Stevens in 31st, J.C. Evans 32nd, and I do believe Greg Carr rounds out this 33-car field. How about that, though, Big Al? Three or more people took provisionals tonight, and we still have a 33-car field. Isn't that just spectacular?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited. I'm stoked. Just like everybody else is. This is Talladega, man. Like the sign says, this is not a race. This is something that it literally, it's going to change a lot of these drivers' minds. Could make you a winner. Could make you a spinner.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think we're going to see a lot of races ending here tonight, and a lot of, I'd say, maybe a trophy getting handed out at the end of this thing for sure. It's all going to come down. I'd say the keys to the race is going to be about surviving this one. I mean, this is 118 laps, 313 miles here at Talladega, and if you get into a crash here, usually your day is done. I mean, we're going to see in excess of 200 mile an hour. I've even heard some drivers talk about 210, 208 being the top speeds of these race cars when they're in the draft. This is going to be absolutely nuts.
It's going to be insane. And we're going to be here for the whole thing.
That we are. Here we are filing down the backstretch. Of course, Miller Bonds in control of the field. I think this is a good place to be towards the front of the field. I think this is going to be the place where you're going to be safest. But I tell you what, no matter where you're at here at Talladega, no one is safe.
That's incredibly true, Brian. Everybody's going to be looking for a place to kind of hide, but unfortunately, there will be no such place here because you can play it safe. You can do whatever you want to do. Everybody's tried everything. This place will jump up and literally grab you. So good luck all those drivers down there. Thank everybody for tuning in. This is going to be an exciting one, to say the least.
No, it definitely will. Pace car dipping down pit road. One thing about Talladega, though, the front stretch quite long until we get to the start-finish line. So these drivers are going to definitely have a little bit of a long and arduous journey until we get to that Geico restart zone. And I do believe we're getting there very, very soon. Miller Bonds going to be the control car. As here we go into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out for the first time here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. And everybody fairly tame on that restart. Miller Bonds and Patrick Gitter side by side. Of course, one bad thing, though, is Bonds does not have a teammate behind him. As you can see, of course, the Conti teammates lined up on the top side. Look at the run that the 76 and the 21 are generating. Big, massive run down the backstretch. As, of course, the backstretch top line is we're going to see runs like this all night long. Bottom line almost disintegrates. Where did the bottom line go? Miller Bonds falling all the way back to 6th. Is not even going to get to lead the first lap.
I think that top line is also going to be a factor here tonight, Brian. I've been hanging out in some places I probably shouldn't with some people that I won't mention, and those guys are actually saying they're going to be running high tonight. That high line is going to provide a lot of promise. Now, we are premature. We don't get to see what the big boys are doing, so whatever our guys do usually translates to what is actually going to happen in the race on Sunday. But looks like right now everybody's staying low.
Yeah, it looks like everybody has started to move back down to the bottom, but you can see Matt DeCiani trying to get that top line going once again. Of course, he is in tow, or actually working with Randy Belk at the moment. Let's see if they can generate the run. I do believe you can see Darren Mullins in that Ram 64, of course, trying to push as well as Dylan Banks. First run in the series. Right now, he is up in the top 10, sitting 8th place at the moment with, I think Paradigm's Chris Johnson behind him. Of course, they're on the bottom line. But so far, so good. We see one thing I'm finding incredibly interesting, Big Al. We see two different packs right now. They've already separated into two packs. And just to kind of elaborate on that, Frank Flores is the beginning of the second pack, back in 21st position. And we can see that on our screens right now. Looks like they're racing pretty hard in that second pack, but somehow have already lost the draft. Now, this is going to be something we're going to see a lot here tonight. If you lose the draft, it's going to be very, very difficult to make that up. So a lot of these drivers are going to be really working hard to work together to see if they can possibly catch up to the rest of the field here. You can see, of course, I do believe that's Derek Jacobs in the 27 as well in this, and Matthew DeCiani, or not DeCiani, I'm sorry, Matthew Cisna. And you can just see they're battling a lot, and I think that's going to separate them even more from this front pack. Look at that lap times. I just want to do a little comparison right now. Front pack is hitting 48.6s, 48.5s, while this second pack is hitting 49.8s, 49.9s, 50-second laps. They are slower than the front pack. Of course, Patrick Gitter right now in control of the race. He's out front. He's got, of course, teammate Derek Heitman right there behind him. And for the most part, top 5 is single filed out, but you can see Dylan Banks is starting to try to generate a run up on that top line. He's followed by Matt DeCiani as well as Darren Mullen. And so definitely a lot of wiggling going on from Dylan Banks. You can see Dylan Banks actually has that EPI logo on the back of his race car, Elite Performance Industries. So it's been a while since we've seen an elite driver in this series. Of course, the Team Conti boys used to rep that brand, but it looks like the 70 going to carry the flag, or carry the, I'd say, torch for the team, for the elite team. He's got some speed in that race car as well. Love the paint scheme. That blue definitely sticks out. Very easy to see that blue race car out there on the track. As you can see, look at that. Derek Heitman starting to dip out a little bit. I'm wondering if maybe this could be some heating issues for that driver.
That's what I'm thinking. It's probably a little bit of heating issues. Just dipping the nose out just a little bit so the car can actually suck in some clean air. It's going to be the difference. It's going to allow him to stay back and be able to push longer than, say, if he would actually just stay nose to butt. But I think.
No, I think that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's one thing we're going to see here at this kind of a racetrack is, air is going to matter quite a bit. But no, what is happening here? This is almost going to be an accident. There is some beating and banging as Brian Johnson in the 52 of Jeremy Sumter beat and bang a little bit there. What just happened? Derek Heitman jumped up top, and Patrick Gitter, even though they're on the same team, Patrick tried to block him.
Yeah, tell me you don't like me without telling me you don't like me.
And now Dylan Banks, his first race in the ISCA, possibly might get up to the lead here. He was very close to getting around the 76 there. This is interesting. That was definitely an interesting turn of events right there that could have led it to a crash. I mean, that almost was a crash, and it just seemed like I think the Team Conti guys were playing a little bit of games right there, and the games almost ended up with a fight here.
Hey, so speaking of crashes, let's have that conversation. What's the over-under here?
How many crashes do you think we're gonna have? I don't know. I'm gonna go with 3 crashes.
Brian's got 3. All right. Big Al's going to say we're going to have 2. I'm going to go with 2. Okay.
Our producer is saying 5.
And you don't argue with him because he's producing.
Well, my and I think yours as well, Big Al, probably reason for thinking there's going to be few crashes because, well, I mean, we see it all the time in the ISCA. A lot of times, you look at the officials in their crash-filled races, jump in the ISCA, and they're not. They are completely clean. These drivers just seem to drive with a lot more respect, as we have seen a lot more other drivers, I'd say, start to split from the pack here, and it could be because of some damage. I see, of course, I think Patrick Gitter moves up to the top side in front of Brian Johnson, but I have noticed that Jeremy Sumter, who was up in here in the top 5, has fallen all the way back to 16th, and he is a 1.8, 1.9 seconds off the pack here. So we're starting to see spreading out. 3 wide up front for the lead. Patrick Gitter falls back. That is not good.
Wow, 3 discernible lines right there up front, and it just looks like melee, Brian.
Yeah, I think there was literally melee. I think somebody just hit the wall.
I think I might need more caution.
I don't know. These guys definitely racing hard right now. Of course, the stage 1 caution will fly a little after lap 24 concludes. as it looks like Derek Heitman is back in control. And it does seem like the Team Conti guys have brought a very fast race car here. Brian Johnson, though, he's worked his way back up to the front. He's being pushed by Chris, and they are all over the place. Brian had a huge run coming, then all of a sudden got really wiggly. I think Chris Johnson having a tough time linking up to the back bumper of the Ford. If we can, I'd love to take a cockpit camera here from the 56 of Chris Johnson. It seems like he's having some issues pushing the Ford machine. You can see that they are having a tough time lining up. And this is one thing that, this is actually a really good talking point about how hard it is to see when you're in the cockpit of one of these machines. I mean, it is not easy when you have a car that is all up in your front. Or all in your windshield here. You can see that the 4 and the 56 trying to make a move once again. A lot of wiggling going on that bottom side. Looking at the 64 of Darren Mullins, he's moving up and all around. It's very difficult, again, to see that yellow line when you're following so close behind someone. A lot of people think that Talladega, tracks like this, are just easy peasy. But really, they're not. I mean, they can be quite complicated, especially when you have so much going on all at the same time. You're trying to manage so many different variables, trying to stay on that yellow line, trying to stay on the bumper of the guy in front of you, trying not to turn that guy in front of you, watching your temperatures. There's just so much going on and so much that can go wrong. As the top 14 essentially have all single filed out. And of course, 15 was Jeffrey Ford.
So one thing that I think is a little bit different here, man, I was not expecting the field to split like this so early into the race. I mean, usually we kind of keep these things together in somewhat of a gaggle, but today it's going to be a little bit different, and that's really going to affect our crash ratio as well. Might be crashing in groups instead of in masses.
Well, yeah, no, I definitely agree. But I think the one thing about this next-gen machine at these types of super speedways, that's different than the truck or the Xfinity car. The Xfinity car and the truck, you can be a second behind the pack and still be able to draft back up. These next-gens are not like that. This next-gen, if you fall behind big wiggles there from Patrick Gitter. As I do believe we were looking at John Bender here, but we should definitely be looking at the front of this field because these guys they're racing hard. But my point here is that these next gens do not have the suck-up rate that the trucks and the Xfinities do, to where if you fall over a half a second behind a car in front of you, it is almost impossible to draft back up to that car. So that's something that makes it incredibly difficult. Whenever something happens in front of you, Big Al, and you have to let off the gas to try to avoid it, that could be that chance for you to lose that draft. And I think that's what caused a lot of these drivers to lose the main pack here.
Yeah, and once you lose it, man, it's all but over trying to catch back up to it. It's not favorable for you to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, now if you have like maybe 3 or 4 drivers that are with you and you're all on the same page, you might be able to work together flawlessly and be able to catch up. It's definitely possible, but it is really, really improbable, though. I mean, you could even see the lap times, played out on this. If we see the lap times, I don't think we have that information, but I have that information. It looks like 48.976. There we are, some lap times on the screen there for you, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the difference from some of these packs. Look at that. Derek Heitman, 48.723 versus the second packs. They're hitting 49.3s. I mean, that's a half a second or more lap time difference there. And that equals these gaps that we're seeing out on the racetrack. Of course, the second pack has got about 7.6 seconds back. And, of course, leading that second pack, I do believe at the moment, is Kyle Holden. But Derek Heitman in control of this thing. We're coming up, I do believe, now 9 laps to go in stage 1.
It's been a long night for a lot of drivers right now. Looks like everybody's kind of kept their cars clean, and that's a good thing, Brian, because the one thing you don't want to be rolling around Talladega with the cars all beat up, especially early on. So kudos to the drivers for just staying green here tonight.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I do want to mention one thing, though. Just a little bit of an update. One of the drivers that started up in the top 10 that ran up in the top 5, Jeremy Sumter, is 5 laps down, coming up to 6 laps down. Not exactly sure what happened to this driver. Car looks fine, but he did have some sort of issue whenever he had some contact with Brian Johnson. I have heard as well that he does have technical issues with his computer right now. So hopefully that's not what's going on. Either way, it looks like it's going to be another disappointing day for the 52. Of course, the pack all pretty much together. Still some racing going on. You see Brian Johnson not quite willing to lay over here as he works with brother Chris Johnson. Now, this point in the race, and I know you always talk about this, this is the time that you do want to kind of experiment with different lines, right, Big Al? I mean, if you know, Chris Johnson and Brian Johnson, they're brothers on the same team, you know, this is the time, I'd say, to kind of bust out the, you know, the experimenting hat, right?
Well, I think at this point, though, at Talladega, you should have ran enough laps with each other that you shouldn't be experimenting. You should have a plan. So I think that's going to be the thing we're going to be looking for tonight, just seeing exactly who sticks to their plan and who capitalizes from it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, these guys have had ample opportunity and time to really practice and get everything laid out and ready to race. And, it looks like I definitely can see some drivers that have very fast race cars. I mean, looking at Derek Heitman, he's been in control of this race a lot. Here we go, 3 wide, though, as it looks like the 3 of Nick King getting a big run on the bottom side here in his Majulish shade paint scheme. Of course, that is a dirt setup shop. So interesting to see those guys actually making making their way onto the ISCA asphalt here. Seems like they've unloaded a very fast race car as they, of course, are working with Brian Johnson. Look at this huge run, big block from Derek Heitman. He is playing the Pied Piper. He's almost acting like Dale Jr. out here, the way he's running every lane. He jumps up in front of Kenny Powell. He jumps down there in front of the Nick King. I don't think he could do this for too long, though. And, of course, we are 3 wide for the lead coming up. I do believe now 5 laps to go when we cross the start-finish line. I think we might wad them up with 5 laps to go here. I mean, look at the racing these guys are doing here. This is exciting right here. As we see some moving between the lanes. Patrick Gitter jumps up in front of Mark Sanchez. Here comes Darren Mullins, though. It looks like the 12 of Miller Bonds able to move down. It looks like Bonds and Tim Wortman Jr. working together pretty well. Oh, another block from Patrick Gitter.
Gitter's just going crazy out there, man. Gitter for president. Get her done.
I don't think Mark Sanchez is saying that. I think Mark Sanchez probably needs a new pair of britches. If I was in Mark's shoes, I'd be a little bit like, what was that, Patrick? What are you doing? But, of course, points in these stages are everything. We know how valuable they are. A lot of times these stage points can be more valuable than the actual win itself. As we're coming to, I do believe, 4 to go in stage number 1. And we got a little bit of a 3-car breakaway. Derek Heitman, Miller Bonds, and Tim Wortman Jr. Tim Wortman definitely unloaded the fast race car here. Matt DeCiani and Derek Heitman, Patrick Gitter working together, trying to work their way forward. And look at the runs they're generating. And here we go. Miller Bonds up the racetrack, getting a little bit of tight because of the dirty air. And that almost ended in an accident. But it looks like Derek Heitman able to reunite with his teammates. He jumps up to the top to, of course, reconvene with Patrick Gitter and DeCiani. Dylan Banks, of course, benefiting from this. He drives his way up to 4th place. Kenny Powell running really well here tonight. Of course, he's always been known as a pretty good plate racer. That's one thing about plate tracks. Everybody out here has a chance to win. A lot of times when we're at other tracks that require, I'd say, a lot more skill. Not to say this does require skill, of course, tracks
Yeah,
like this.
it 100%
But
does. I mean,
it still gives people opportunity that if they're an adequate plate racer, they could find themselves in victory lane.
well, there's so much room to maneuver, and drivers aren't hamstrung to just kind of like when we're doing like tracks like Darlington and where's the single line Pocono hard to pass. This track, I mean, virtually it can be wide open as we've seen that, man. We've had like it looks like these guys are flying south for the winter.
Yeah, running really fast out here on the racetrack. Just want to look at the speeds right now. Looking at Derek Heitman just to kind of see what his speeds are. He just hit 201, and I would not be surprised that we've seen even faster speeds than that here. But the average right now seems to be about a 195, 200 mile an hour. We're 3 wide. Of course, Dylan Banks trying to hold off, I do believe, Miller Bonds, as well as some other drivers. This is getting exciting. These guys are getting close to the end of this stage. Everyone wants to get those stage points. There goes Patrick Gitter, jumps up in front of Kenny Powell. Patrick Gitter, I'm telling you, this guy has got a death wish tonight. But, I mean, a lot of times at tracks like Talladega, those bold moves win races. I think the thing that causes the worst problems at a track like Talladega is when you are indecisive about making your move. You need to do it. If you're going to do it now. And I think Patrick Gitter has got that. He makes the move without hesitating. And I'd really love to see that. Hopefully it works out for him as we are on the final lap in stage 1. And a lot of drivers trying to make their move. Here comes Mark Sanchez. Look at the dive and look at the block. Oh, we're going to be wrecking here possibly as Derek Heitman gets down into Blair Holloman. Holloman trying to go for the gusto. And I do believe Patrick Gitter just barely going to scrape by with a stage 1 victory. Caution flag should have already flown, but I do believe we're going to under a little bit of a delay here. At the moment, Kenny Powell is in the lead. Caution is out. And I don't know, because of at the time of the caution, I do believe, because usually when we cross the line to finish that lap, that is the conclusion of the stage. I think Kenny may have one. I don't know.
They're gonna sort that out though, because Kenny actually did throw the flag. So whatever that apparatus is that works, and we're not gonna call him by his name because we know he works hard out there, Ralph, the flag man. But Kenny actually did it himself tonight. He threw the flag.
Well, we did have an automated system that did it for us, but it seems like that's been malfunctioning the last couple weeks. And what a track to have to throw the flag yourself. I mean, I know Kenny Powell's got to be under a tremendous amount of pressure. So I would say Patrick Gitter, we're going to say he's stage 1 winner. Kenny Powell will say second. Brian Johnson third. Chris Johnson fourth. Mark Sanchez fifth. Miller Bond sixth. Derek Heitman seventh. Tim Wortman Jr. eighth. Darren Mullins ninth. Blair Holloman 10th. We're going to take a step away. We'll come back and we'll possibly talk to our stage 1 winner. We'll be right back.
I used to have to go in to the auto parts store. Paid too much, never find quite what I'm looking for. Now I just go online to Rock Auto and see all the parts my car will ever need. Lower prices, more parts, more brands. It's so easy to find the right parts fast. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto. All the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. Of course, we're just completing our Stage 1 caution pit stop. We have Kenny Powell joining us here in the booth. Of course, we thought Patrick Gitter had won that stage, but it turns out the 24 of Kenny Powell did grab the victory there. Going to be some awesome stage points, Kenny. How are you feeling? How's the car handling?
Car's good. It's fun. I love these races. It's just a matter of putting yourself in the right position and staying out of trouble.
That's 100% true for sure. And, it seemed like it got a little bit hairy there towards the end of stage 1. I mean, what do you do to kind of calm the nerves when things are going haywire like that?
Take a deep breath. A couple of deep breaths, and, you got to tell yourself and remind yourself that it is a long race. It's not just stage racing. And my goal isn't to win the stage, and the goal is to win the race. So, when you get in those tense situations, you just got to take a deep breath and think about that.
Well, I know the stage points are incredibly important, though. I know sometimes when you win these stages or get good finishes in the stages, sometimes that can be better than winning the race itself. So hopefully that'll kind of get your season back on track. But Kenny, how's it been? I know we got a little bit of extra time, I do believe. How has it been seeing, just how many drivers have been participating here this season? This is probably the most successful season the ISCA has had.
It is. I've just recently, said in our Discord that very, very proud of this league. It's so exciting. We got great competitors in here and great competition. Clean. I'm super proud of this league and everybody in it.
Well, we're definitely proud to be a part of it, that's for sure. Kenny, who can we shout out after your Stage 1 victory?
Yeah, I give a shout out to my guys at G&G and all the work that we put in practice, and just great having a team like that.
All right, Kenny. Well, thanks for your time and best of luck.
Thank you.
All righty, that was Kenny Powell, the boss man, getting a Stage 1 victory. What a job. He's got a fast race car, Big Al. Do you think he might be able to get it done here tonight?
I truly do. I think it's it's Talladega. Everybody's got a shot. Everybody that shows up here tonight has a true shot at running it. But Kenny, he's definitely got the momentum going. The G&G team, they've rebounded so well. These guys are starting to actually come together as a team, which is also it's thrilling to watch. So yeah, I'll throw my hat in the ring for the G&G guys.
Well, we got to even think about G&G, how their I'd say their super speedway program has been insanely good here as well. I mean, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mark Sanchez won the Daytona race here in the ISCA as well. So I mean, they're already I'd say fairly comfortable, right, when it comes to super speedway racing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And those guys they've been burning the midnight oil. I mean, I know I stopped in to check on them just a couple nights ago, and 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, they're still in there trying to figure it out.
Well, here we go. Of course, pace car lights have gone out. We're going to be going to lap 53. Of course, it does appear that our automated system that throws the cautions is not functioning at the moment. So hopefully the caution flag will come out in a timely manner. But, of course, that is got to be a little bit scary for some of the drivers that are around here, because you don't really know when the race stops. I mean, because a lot of times that can be a little bit difficult. But we'll see how everybody manages to deal with that. As the pace car has dipped down pit road, we're getting ready to go back green here at Talladega. Patrick Gitter going to be leading us to that green flag. And, of course, he started in second place, having a great run here so far. And there it is. Green flag is back out in the air. And he is up through the gears. I got to say, though, a little bit of a problem there. I'm hearing some issues from further back. I'm not exactly sure what happened. We see some smoke. And I'm not sure. I do believe that is, I think that's Frank Flores. No, that is Greg Carr, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Greg done blown it up.
Greg, he seems like he is still under power. He does have engine power, but he does have front end damage. I do believe there was some type of contact that happened on that restart. As we can see some contact happening at the moment, presently, towards the front, is some big bumps coming from Derek Heitman to the back end of the four of Brian Johnson. But that just goes to show you how, I'd say, intense these restarts can be at tracks like Talladega. And of course, everybody wanting to get up to speed as quick as they can.
And of course, that was the first actual really restart. So now these guys have been dealing with each other for a little bit, Brian. So they kind of got the wick's lit.
Oh, it's lit. I'm telling you what, there's about to be a firecracker about to explode out here. Because, the blocks and the moves these guys are throwing are insane. I wouldn't do it. If I did what Derek Heitman just did, I'd wad the whole field up, wreck everybody, because ain't no way I could do that without us wrecking. The way he just does everything last second like that, jumps up in front of Matt DeCiani. And I think a lot of that comes down to them communicating, though. I think the Team Conti guys are talking to each other. They're on the same page right now. And you even talked about it, Big Al, that they probably prepared for this. If anybody prepared for this race, it was Derek Heitman, Matt DeCiani, and Patrick Gitter. Those guys are probably sharing a brain right now.
Yeah, they're definitely, thinking the same. And they've been in the car together, so I think they've seen a lot of things happen because they haven't just been running around in circles together. They have actually been running, with other drivers. And people might not understand this, but it is extremely challenging to just make it through an iRacing session.
Yeah, no, for sure. Make it through the whole race. Especially 118 laps, 313 miles. And it looks like we have some issues. I do believe the 11 of Matthew Cisna. I keep wanting to say DeCiani, but he apparently has had some sort of issue. I would not be surprised that Cisna, and I bet if we went back and looked, I bet Cisna was the one that may have gotten into Greg Carr, or Greg Carr may have gotten into him. Maybe that could explain. Maybe he's got some damage that he needed to get taken care of. Possibly. Not exactly sure, but that is unfortunate for Cisna. I know he actually finished pretty well last week at Texas Motor Speedway. I do believe he got a 16th, ran into the top 15 much of the race. Big move from Patrick Gitter. What I'm seeing here, this is not going to end well, as we're seeing some big blocks. Now, what I'm seeing here from the Team Conti guys is I love the strategy, but I got to say it's way too early for them to be doing this, because this is going to cause an accident. I see exactly what Patrick Gitter is doing, what the Team Conti guys are doing. They're trying to control this race. They're trying to, whenever any line gets a run, one of the other drivers of the Team Conti guys jumps up in front of them and tries to kill the momentum. But I'll tell you, it's going to end in a wreck, especially this early. We still have 20 laps to go in stage 2. I'm a little concerned, I got to be honest. Big Al, if you had someone that kept just continually to block your lane, do you think you get impatient and frustrated after a while?
It's a slight jab. He keeps poking them every time, and eventually, two things are going to happen. They're going to leave them out there because they'll find out exactly what he's going to do, and it's just a matter of time before somebody, takes the bait.
The thing about it is, when it comes to blocking, I've always said this, and I know a good friend of mine actually, I'd say is the one I've heard this statement from, but it takes two to tango. It's two people in that equation when you block. The person you're blocking and you. If one of them people don't agree, there's going to be a wreck. That's the thing about it, is if you choose not to lift when someone blocks you, there's a wreck. And I think that could be what happens here. But we'll have to wait and see, as, of course, Kenny Powell leads that top line. Derek Heitman right now in control of the bottom. John Bender, your favorite driver, he's up in the top 12 right now, rocking the Sundrop green.
Definitely good to see John back, man. Back out here making the dreams happen. And that 23 in the Sundrop, there's no coincidence. That's the Carolina guy right there.
Got to give a lot of credit to John Schultz. Of course, I do believe in the 58 machine. I do believe he comes from... Oh, problems! Kenny Powell and Chris Johnson. Powell into the wall. And that is a front bumper missing for both of those drivers, as that was a hard lick. Our Stage 1 winner, Kenny Powell, suffering from major damage. And look at that. You can see that Chris Johnson, I do believe he has a broke toe link. Let's go back and look at that. We have to go back and look at that. That was quite a hit, and I don't know why it happened. And we're taking a look back at this. Of course, Kenny Powell was leading that top lane. Yeah, this is a great camera angle. Let's let it roll. Big bump. No wonder this happened. And you know exactly why this happened? A bad block. We talked about those blocks. And Derek Heitman, unfortunately, he led to that. He just jumped up in front of Kenny Powell. Kenny Powell was moving at about 10 more mile an hour faster than Heitman right there. And I just don't think Chris or Kenny had anything they could do there. I don't think that was Kenny or Chris Johnson's fault there. I got to be honest. What is your take on that, Rick? I mean, that is just unfortunate.
I think it's just one of those racing deals, man, you know, and I'm surprised that we're this far along, man, that we haven't actually tore up more cars than that. So kudos to these guys. This is not normal with Talladega, whether it's virtual or reality. Usually at this stage in the competition, we've already at least sent 2 to the haulers.
Well, yeah, no, 100%. Of course, we have had some cautions already that are based on accidents. Oh, we're having some issues. Miller Bonds into the outside wall. Apparently, we're speaking these accidents into existence. We're going to have some guys going to the hauler, I do believe, because Miller Bonds way off the pace. Let's go see what happened there. That was Shane Parrish and Miller Bonds, because I do believe both of these drivers do have a little bit of history together. And of course, they're in the midst of a battle. Of course, Brian Johnson, I do believe, right in front of these two drivers. Let's take a look. You can see, of course, they're drafting together. No problem. Oh, that's really interesting. All of a sudden, Shane Parrish's car just got a little bit light. It might even have been a little bit of netcode there.
I think you were spot on there, Brian. It looks like he just found himself inside the car, didn't just for a split second. He just kind of went the wrong way, and unfortunately, he would have tagged the other car, and that's just
And you can see Miller Bonds after that heading down pit road. Seems like he's got enough damage that he's going to be trying to get that repaired.
Miller Bonds and Chris D. Johnson, both recipients of that dreaded repairs required flag. Going to see how long it takes them to get this thing fixed and back out there on the go.
Yeah, right now I do believe we still have 30 race car drivers still on the lead lap. Racing has intensified still for the top 5 as John Bender has worked his way up into possibly now third as he gets a massive run with the aid of David Centeni. Now, David Centeni, I mentioned this, I do believe, when we were going through the grid. David Centeni won, if I'm not mistaken, in one of the duels at Daytona earlier in the season, at the beginning of the season, I should say. So he has got a lot of speed when it comes to these super speedway races. But I don't know. This is looking like I just don't know if I like the energy here, Big Al. This looks like anything could go wrong at any moment. As John Bender with a little bit of he lost a little bit of pace there. I think we're trying to avoid an accident. Derek Heitman going to get him back up to speed as we're double foul. Of course, I do believe Matt DeCiani in control. He has Patrick Gitter behind him. Darren Mullins is in third. Andrew Griesbaum into the top 5 for the first time. Kyle Holden's up to now 10th place. Tim Wortman Jr., who started, I do believe, in 3rd place, he's now back into 11th. So we've seen a lot of moving throughout this field. As we're coming up, I do believe, 12 laps to go next time by in stage number 2. We do have some lap traffic that, of course, is coming up as well that we might end up having maybe some interactions with. As we're looking on the hood, the roof cam, as you can see there's specs out there. Now, the thing is about lap traffic at a track like Talladega, we're going to catch those guys very quickly because the speed differences are pretty great.
Especially if those guys are running out there, you know, by themselves or damaged or just not lined up, that lead draft, it's a force to be reckoned with. So especially when you see him in your rearview mirror, not something that really puts the driver at ease. Just hope that those guys will be able to stay in their line that they have chosen and preferred, and allow that the majority of the field to get by without issue.
Well, that's the good thing about Talladega. It is bigger than Daytona. You do have more room to work with, but still 3 wide is always kind of a risk versus reward type of situation. It looks like some of these drivers starting to struggle a little bit with handling. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, and I think it could be even maybe not tires, but maybe the air has been playing havoc on these race cars. As I saw Patrick Gitter getting a little bit wiggly as he was following behind Matt DeCiani as they are quickly approaching the back of these 2 lap cars. And I'm trying to figure out who they are. I do believe it is Greg Carr and Alexander Carr, which are, of course, I do believe nephew and uncle here by relation.
That's absolutely correct. Let's give a shout out to the cars. You guys are actually, you're on the screen right here, guys. So good luck to you. Make smart choices.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case here. Make smart choices. Do they stay on the bottom? And it looks like they are. And I think in order for you to get enveloped, to kind of be absorbed into this pack, you do want to stay on the bottom, especially in this next-gen machine. So everybody's going to try to have to get around them. And I think they should be able to do so without too much trouble. Here we are, 3 wide, as David Centini and John Bender get by them. And I think that's where, oh, there goes Blair Holloman. You see Greg Carr going up the track a little bit. Now, that's worrisome. If I'm in Greg's shoes, I want to be hugging that yellow line as close as I can. But it looks like they do safely get by the Carr family there. As Matt DeCiani, of course, still in the lead. We're on lap 44. We're getting ready to start lap 45. Stage 2, of course, ends on lap 53 going to 54. As we are still 3 wide. Drivers trying to make something happen. I do believe that is Mark Sanchez. He's trying to get underneath Dylan Banks at the moment. We can also see Andrew Griesbaum in the midst of a battle with Kyle Holden. Holden making that 3rd groove work. And of course, he is being followed behind by Tim Wortman Jr. As they are, look at the run from Kyle Holden. And that, look at the Team Conti guys. They are all throwing blocks. I mean, the Team Conti guys are making those blocks an art form.
And look at right now, look at the high line, and you'll see that high line is actually a dominating line. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier in the first segment, that the drivers were going to be looking to go high because that's where they're going to be trying to find that speed. Now, the high line, for whatever reason, is just kind of chilling, but I'm glad to see that it can actually, work. They're showing their hand.
Oh, it's definitely working. And I think, you see DeCiani, Gitter, Darren Mullins, and, of course, Heitman were all on the bottom side. Kyle Holden started getting a massive run on that top side, to your credit, saying that top line's really, really fast. And then the Conti guys jumped up there. And, of course, now they're all fast as well. So, interesting to see that. I mean, it just seems like that top line is to you don't want to play with it, that's for sure. As you see Miller Bonds, of course, getting lapped right there. So, yeah, that top line has got a lot of speed. And that's not a surprise at tracks like Talladega. Of course, it is a longer distance around the racetrack, but it does provide the opportunity for higher speed because you don't have to really scrub the wheel as much in the corner. And as they, of course, continue to make laps here at Talladega, Matt DeCiani in control right now. So far, the Team Conti guys have been the dominators of the race. Of course, Kenny Powell won stage number 1. I do believe he is in a little bit of trouble right now, considering he has had significant damage after an accident between him and Chris Johnson.
And that's the thing. If you're going to dance with the devil, you got to pay the toll, man. And a lot of drivers probably got lectured all week long saying, hey, make smart choices. Don't get out there and tear the car up early. We've got to keep this thing together so we can have a run at it once we get down to the wire. And you come out here and you destroy that thing in the first or second segment, Brian, you got nothing else to show for it. So you got to make it through all 3 segments. You got to get in the top 10 through the first 2, and you got to try to put yourself in a position to win that thing on the last lap. So be interested to see how these strategies start to play out here.
No, 100%. I mean, you have to be available at the end of this race. I mean, kind of stealing from you there. You have to.
I knew how it sounded familiar.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you always say. You got to be available, and this is a track you can't win a race if you're not on the lead lap at the end of this thing. And of course, when I even said it earlier, when you get in an accident here, usually it's a race ender, or it just kills the performance of the race car.
Yeah, because these cars are so aerodynamic dependent that the aero, I mean, that's a pretty big chunk of the beast that you're dealing with. Power, aero. What else is there that you think there's going to be, in the factor for making a car run here at Dega?
I mean, that's pretty much all you're gonna, really care about is having, making sure you have all the RPMs, and you want to have the aero, yeah. And of course, you can make it work if you're in the draft, but as soon as you get out front, if you have any sort of aero damage, it's going to cause you to act like a parachute, essentially, and you're going to start to fly back. But Matt DeCiani seems like he's got the car to be in front right now. Now, one thing that we saw last season that was really interesting, or at Daytona, I think Daytona actually shown it as well, that some drivers knew they were going to push. Some drivers knew they were going to lead, so they built setups appropriately. They would have maybe a little bit of a different gear ratio in the race car, or maybe even a different aero package. Maybe just a little bit less downforce, or have it a certain way to maybe make them better at pushing or leading. And that could be something we're seeing here. I mean, you see Patrick Gitter doing a fantastic job of pushing Matt DeCiani at the moment. But I don't know, though. If you make those kind of decisions to make your car, your setup, kind of better at one thing than the other, then it might struggle at something else. So you can't hardly predict what's going to happen at Talladega. I think you want to have a better all-around car, as we see Kyle Holden starting to try to make something happen on that middle grooves. He's coming up in side drafting. We're starting to see side draft play a role as Kyle Holden trying to side draft 64. Now that's scary when you see side drafts coming out here at Talladega.
Well, and they're going to put it as shut up, Al. As those guys continue to run high, they don't have anywhere to go. So it gives you the perfect opportunity to kind of push them up into the wall and take advantage of that side draft. I think that's one thing that you're going to see. And you're going to kind of hope that they do push up. That'll give those guys down at the bottom a little bit of the freedom that they're going to need. Look at that middle line now, the run that they're getting.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Kyle Holden, of course, has David Centeni right behind him, John Bender. They are connected. They are hooked up. Can they continue to generate this run is going to be the question. You can see even the bottom line trying to make something happen. That's Blair Holloman, I do believe, in the 10 machine. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there for Kyle Holden. I do believe we're coming up to the white flag lap here in just a moment here for stage number 2. And they are 3 wide, racing hard. Centeni was going with Holden. Looks like he said, I'm not going with you anymore, and he has ditched Kyle Holden. Tim Wortman Jr. steps out of line.
Wow.
Him and I think the 3 of Nick King going together.
How fast they fall. Did you see that? I mean, once we were great, and now all of a sudden we falter and just escort ourselves to the back. Bottom line now coming up, getting a little bit organized to see if they are. And then that's the thing, Brian, because do you intentionally come into this knowing that you're going to run low or high, or do you just kind of get there and just like, I don't know, is it a group influence thing? Is it
I
peer
don't know.
pressure?
I think it's just you go where you think the speed is. Here comes Darren Mullins. He makes a move. Patrick Gitter tried to block it, not able to do so. That's Matt DeCiani in control as we're getting ready to come to the, of course, checkered flag for stage number 2. Of course, Darren Mullins trying to get a run going. He is being pushed by Derek Heitman. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle there for the 64. The 48 of Jose Medina. Look at him. He's up in 3rd right now. This could be some really good stage points for him.
Jose
Medina, not Acosta. Medina. new Jose.
The new Jose.
And it looks like I think we should see the caution flag any time now as we have completed stage number 2. And there it is. Matt DeCiani going to be your stage 2 winner. And that's going to be some really good points there for him. I know he definitely going to enjoy those points. And of course, I do believe Patrick Gitter finished second in stage number 2, or stage 1. He's going to finish stage 2 in second as well. Jose Medina grabbing a 3rd place. Very fast lap as well last time by. Brian Johnson able to come home 4th. 5th place, Darren Mullins. 6th, Randy Belk. Andrew Griesbaum, 7th. Tim Wortman Jr. in 8th. Derek Heitman, 9th. David Centeni going to round out the top 10. And of course, they're all going to get some stage points. Going to be definitely good for their careers this season. We're going to take a step away. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to our stage 1, or stage 2 winner, I should say.
I used to have to go in to the auto parts store. Paid too much, never find quite what I'm looking for. Now I just go online to Rock Auto and see all the parts my car will ever need. Lower prices, more parts, more brands. It's so easy to find the right parts fast. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto. All the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallInVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service, interests, and hobbies. FallInVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallInVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallInVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. Of course, we're standing by with our Stage 2 winner. Big Al is going to be talking with Matt DeCiani.
Matt DeCiani, Big Al up in the booth. How's it going, boss?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Congratulations on your Stage 2 victory, man. You as one of the veterans out here, I mean, what are you thinking about this? Is this year any easier, or does it get any easier?
I wouldn't say it gets any easier. There's a lot of good competition in this league. I would say experience maybe helps a little bit in certain situations, but I mean, outside of that, I wouldn't say it gets easier.
So this week, Talladega, did you guys spend a lot of time actually going around and figuring it out, or did you actually come out strong and just have to make some minor adjustments?
Honestly, we've been great right out of the truck. We just, I've had a good piece this week, so yeah. It's been nice not to have to do a lot of work, so we'll take that every week.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Hopefully we'll get those green flag pit stops. Your strategy on the green flag pit stops, maybe 2, maybe 4, or tires don't matter tonight?
I don't know. I really don't know if they matter or not, but it's just going to depend on how much fuel if we need to take. If we got to take a lot of fuel, we'll just probably take 4, but it's just going to depend on the amount of fuel we need.
Man, I appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You guys are definitely putting on a good show tonight. Second stage victory. Who was shouting out tonight for your stage 2 victory?
Yeah, thanks to you guys for calling the race, and Team Conti for the setups.
All right, brother. We'll let you get back to it. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Alrighty, that was Matt DeCiani, driver of the One Machine. Of course, they definitely have a very fast race car here tonight. You clearly see that. I mean, all the Team Conti guys unloaded very, very strong. And I definitely think that they have a good chance to maybe secure another victory here tonight. I mean, they've been doing fantastic all season long, and for a team that just kind of showed up on the scene, got to say they have a lot of speed. But of course, when you have a driver or a builder, I should say, like Michael Conti, kind of behind you, it don't hurt. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, we're almost halfway through this thing, so it's Talladega. And everybody who's raced Talladega knows that every lap is its own independent lap. Pace car is getting ready to get down and away, Brian, and we're getting ready to take it through that Geico restart zone.
That we are, of course. This, if we stay green, this will require green flag pit stops. Of course, fuel window, I do believe, is 38 laps. So that is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Green flag is out. As, of course, Brian Johnson in control of the field. He's up to the gears. He's, of course, being pushed by Matt DeCiani. Jose Medina, he restarted up on that top side, trying to get that going. But it looks like Patrick Gitter not really committed to pushing the 48. Oh, there he goes. He's going to link up with the back bumper. Does he get the 48 up to speed, or is he going to try to see if he could possibly get behind one of his teammates? Here comes a move from Derek Heitman. Heitman tries to jump up, not quite able to make anything happen. Oh, look at that. Big move.
One of those things, too, man, is you got to be careful because once you make that move, sometimes it's not easy to get back down. And if you're trying to figure this thing out where it's going to go, it's early. So I think the bottom line is probably going to be the dominant line right now. It's just 4 wide right there, Brian. That's going to end well.
Yeah, everybody essentially just hung out Jose Medina. Derek Heitman just jumped up all the way to the wall by himself, was able to clear Brian Johnson and Medina. Leapfrog action from the 76 as Team Conti back in control. You see Matt DeCiani, Derek Heitman, and Patrick Gitter running that middle to top groove. Tim Wortman Jr., of course, trying to run the bottom. So this is definitely, I'll tell you, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Team Conti, guys. They definitely are in control. And look at that, three-car breakaway at the moment. They have about a 0.3 of a second gap. I doubt they're going to be able to keep this up, but they definitely have a lot of speed. And this is good. Yeah, they're going to drag the rest of the field back with them. This could possibly lead to a passing opportunity for some drivers if they're able to use the momentum built from the draft. As you can see, Darren Mullins drafts up to the back end of the 21 of Patrick Gitter. But still quite a little bit of a gap between Gitter and Heitman. A lot of spreading out here, shockingly, here at the beginning of stage number 3. And I'm wondering if maybe there's some strategy being played right now. Because, you know, this is going to be the longest stage of the race. Green flag pit stops are pretty much, if we stay green, are a requirement.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere, Brian. As long as you let that lead pack not get too far out and you can keep them in your sights, since they'll have the ability to reel those guys back in. You know, you play that safe so that way you're not up there just in case, for God's sakes, the big one does happen. You know, it gives yourself a chance to still be in this thing.
Yeah, and I got to say, even though we're in the ISCA and, you know, we haven't had a lot of huge crashes in this series, this season, I should say. This is one of the cleanest leagues on the sim, essentially. we still, I think, are going to have a big one at some point. I don't think we get away without having one. I mean, Talladega's not, it's never a question of if it's going to happen. It's always a
They
question
owe
of when.
us. They owe us a big wreck here tonight.
Well, we might get it if we don't. I mean, if we'll speak it into existence for sure. 3 wide. David Centeni getting hung out to dry, as he is going to fall outside of the top 10. He's going to be able to jump down below in front of Blair Holloman. I'll tell you who's been running good. Jeffrey Ford running up in the top 10. He's in 8th place right now in the 15. I think you just want to try to stay alive. I think if you have the draft, you're in good shape. One driver that might be in danger of losing the draft, Derek Jacob, has lost the draft. 27 has lost a draft. I'm not exactly sure why. Usually, I got to say, the 27 inside. Oh, caution is out. And this might be why Derek Jacobs lost the draft. Here is the big one.
Yeah, man. There's
Paul Olsen in it. All kinds of drivers. Oh, wow.
There's fairies and feathers everywhere, Brian.
Barry Stevens kicks it in reverse and just smashes Mark Sanchez's front end. And we got a lot to unpack. Let's take a look back.
Now we got a party.
Yes, we do. This is going to be a lot of hurt race cars after this one. I think, yeah, we're going to have to go. Of course, we're going to want to see the actual cause of this incident before we see what happened with Barry here. And, of course, I do believe, yeah, David Centeni might be a good place to start. Yep, here we go. 4 wide. And you see Nick King gets such a huge run. So David Centeni got put 4 wide suddenly and, of course, came up. He didn't have any – I really don't think there was enough room for him to I don't know. He was packed in there like a sardine. I don't think there was really any room for a mistake there.
That was just really unfortunate, man. And I think, unfortunately, we did tear up some cars on that one.
Oh, we definitely did. I mean, if we look at Barry Stevens, I'd love to.
Mark Sanchez and Barry Stevens are the two.
Look at that. Centeni just started slowing down so much. And I think that just led to the crash. I think he was sometimes being overtly cautious, sometimes being too cautious can cause an accident.
Well, you got to keep going. These guys, these cars are like boats. They don't have brakes, man. The brakes are there just so you got somewhere to put your left foot, I guess. I don't know. But unfortunately,
let's look at it for Barry Stevens. I want to see, because he backs up and kills Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, Barry Stevens and Mark Sanchez are the two that actually suffered the repairs required flags out of this issue.
And it doesn't surprise me. If we could take a different camera angle, it's kind of hard to see from this angle. Barry Stevens, the 80. And we're seeing, of course, the 80 right here. This is the accident's happening ahead of him. He's not even really slowing down. He was pushing the 18 Alexander car through the crash. Okay, so the 80. Okay, so he should have came to a stop right here. Okay, so he comes to a stop, kicks it into reverse, and just bam right into the 29. Yeah, I gotta say he gets the trophy for best wreck avoidance tonight.
Well, those cars are fixed, Brian, so they're gonna be back out there trying to make the best of a good thing.
I'm sorry, but Barry, if you're watching this broadcast back, or if any fans of Barry Stevens is watching this, I'm sorry, but I just call it like I see it. He kicked it in reverse and killed Sanchez. But hey, I'm glad those guys are running again. Hopefully there's not too much damage on those race cars, but I know that was kind of a hard lick. But wow, so there was the big one. We saw all kinds of race cars spinning, as we still have, I do believe, quite a bit of racing left to go. Still halfway. And, of course, pace car lights are still on. Matt DeCiani out front right now. And what's funny is I was just talking about Derek Jacobs. I was like, well, he's losing the draft. Apparently, Derek Jacobs has he apparently is psychic. He apparently knew that things are getting ready to go wrong, and he backed off of it just in time. Now, I know Jacobs is a fantastic super speedway racer, and that's the only way they can explain that. It looks like Kenny Powell coming off of pit road just in time to stay on, I do believe, the lead lap. Of course, Powell earlier was involved in a crash. He won stage 1 and has been trying to recover all race long. One good thing about Talladega, though, you do have plenty of time to get damage repaired.
You can say that again. And you know, the one thing about it is you're probably going to end up back on pit road again. So this is not a very forgiving track, Brian. And what? It's probably to a lot of people's advantage that we actually do stages, because before they did stages, I mean, guys would be 200 laps down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Robot Big Al in the booth. No, it was both of them. I heard it too.
What was it?
No, you just sounded like a robot there for a second there, Big Al. Well, I think you're being abducted.
Yeah. Big Alan's face.
Yep, there you go. You're on the way right now. You're definitely outside of connection zone. But pace car lights are out. Getting ready to get this thing back underway once again, as we're on lap 65, getting ready to start lap 66. So quite a bit of racing still left to go.
How many cautions was that?
We have had one caution based on a crash.
Okay. Just checking.
Now, cautions usually breed cautions, so I would not be surprised that we might see some more of those. Pace car dipping down pit road. Here we go. Green flag getting ready to fly once again here, as Matt DeCiani enters the Geico restart zone, and green flag out once again. DeCiani up through the gears. Going to jump up in front of, I do believe, Derek Heitman. Yep, there he goes. So
DeCiani with a
coordination.
Yeah, DeCiani with a solid launch right there, Brian, making it really his choice to figure out if he wants to go high or low. The rest of the field, playing catch up there. Just seems like maybe everybody wasn't kind of ready to go.
That doesn't seem like it. Frank Flores, though, he has made his way up into the top 10. He's being hung out to dry, though. The 8, Frank Flores, kind of in the middle, stuck, as he is continuing to get past left and right here. John Bender, though, with a heck of a run up to the back end of the 33. Trying to maybe take that run somewhere. Not quite able to utilize it. I think the 23's got a really fast race car here tonight. John Bender. Wouldn't it be something to see him get a good finish here tonight? A lot of wiggling, though. Brian Johnson was all over the back of the 70 machine. And, of course, the 70 went up the racetrack. Probably not comfortable with the pushing that the 4 was doing. I got to be honest with you, sometimes when it comes to being pushed, some people you're not comfortable being pushed by. If if I got somebody behind me that's really aggressive on the pushes, it can be a little nerve-wracking.
It's a very probably being pushed is one of the most unnerving things that you could actually experience in a race car, because not everybody knows how to push. So you're worried about that. You're worried about if you're getting pushed by somebody you don't know, and then the next thing you have no control over if somebody starts pushing the pusher.
Yeah, no, 100%. We have quite a gap that has built up from the top 4 back to 5th place. Almost a second. It is 9/10 of a second right now, but it is decreasing. They are coming back to them. I do believe they will catch them, but that would have been interesting to see a 4-car breakaway and how far that could have gotten. But I do believe that the rest of the pack is getting ready to catch them. And you can see Randy Belk starting to fall back off of this grouping. I think that's going to give these guys just a little bit of draft to kind of help them get caught up. And I think when Bender, when all the rest of these guys catch up, they're going to catch him really fast. And I think that they're going to maybe even, I don't know, though.
Well, that was the 3-car breakaway.
They just lost some time.
Yeah, so you're going to be wanting, I mean, that number 4, the 4-car there, I think that's Randy Belk. He's going to be waiting to hopefully get picked up by this next draft and not get left behind, because sometimes when that draft comes by, they got so much momentum, and they're not just going to give you a spot. So you got to try to get your elbows out there and make sure that you're still relevant.
Look at the run. Look at this run.
Yep, look,
Bender.
everybody's going around Belk. And Belk's going to be trying to get inducted, man. He's hoping that their air will spare him.
Bender's got a really fast race car. Kyle Holden taking advantage of the help of Shane Parrish. Parrish ditches Holden. Different paint scheme there from Shane Parrish. I know I haven't seen him in quite a while in the ISCA. Glad to have him back. As he is, of course, up into the top 5. But the Conti guys up to the top of the track trying to block Kyle Holden. Kyle Holden's also got a very fast race car here tonight. Stacey Evans gives a bump to the back of the 59. Got to be careful when you're pushing the pusher, especially in the corner here. Dylan Banks trying to push Shane Parrish right now on that bottom side. Now 70 laps into the race. About 16 laps into the majority of the drivers' runs. Of course, we had a caution about 8 laps ago. Some drivers did elect to come down and top off on gas. Of course, Matt DeCiani in control. Winner of stage number 2. Can he possibly win the race? He has not. I don't believe he's won a race this season.
I know I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't either, Big Al. I don't think anybody in this booth right now has won one.
Oh, NASCAR Heat, does that count?
Sure.
Hell yeah. I'm a champion.
That's right, you're a champion.
Top line starting to emerge as a dominant force again, Brian, and you just see how this is working. But here comes the bottom line once again. They're going to get a charge going. I think Randy Belk has a little bit something to prove there, since he kind of got left in the dust or left for dead, however you want to say it.
Yeah, Shane Parrish in that 66 leading that bottom line, working very well with Dylan Banks. So it looks like Banks is definitely, he's got a fast race car, very good at pushing. And it seems like you're right, in the middle of the corner on that bottom side, the bottom seems to just surge ahead. I wouldn't say surge ahead, I'd say surge forward in these corners on the exit. But you could tell on the straightaways, that's when the top line really gets those runs. But also we're seeing some of the cars kind of break up a little bit. One driver that's kind of getting some pretty good runs, Kenny Powell, has worked his way back up into, of course, contention, the 24. Got to give him a lot of credit. He had some damage on that race car. Seems like he's got it fixed. And he's pushing his ex-teammate, Brian Johnson, right now. So it's not over until it's over. That's why you got to run all the laps. You can't just give up.
No, we got a long way to go before this thing's over.
That we do. With Matt DeCiani still in control, taking care of business. As you can see that bottom line, trying to surge ahead. We do have a lap car, Greg Wachinski. Now, Wachinski, we haven't really heard a whole lot from the 5 here tonight. Usually he's one that we see up in the running for the win here. But it seems like that's the case here tonight. Something wrong with that race car.
Yeah, definitely looks like Greg's seen better days. He's just going to be more of a spectator here tonight as the pack rolls by him. He's elected to stay on the high side. That's not something we'd be seeing a lot tonight here.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to be respectful and not get in the way of the rest of the drivers here. Lap 75 getting ready to be completed as we get ready to start lap 76. One driver, J.C. Evans, he was in the booth last week with us, did a great job, talked to us about a lot of his teammates and talked to us about a lot of the drivers out here on the racetrack. Did a great job. So we were glad to have him. I know he was, left with something to do. He didn't. He was suspended last race because of too many incident points throughout the season. But hey,
man,
he was welcome to be up here with us.
Yeah, I was glad that he was actually able to fill in for me, man. So, and get him up in the booth. Everybody's probably sick of hearing my voice anyway. So, give him a chance to hear somebody different.
I don't know, Big Al. I think a lot of people watch this series just to hear your voice. Moved there from Darren Mullins. He moves down to the bottom in front of Shane Parrish. Can he get that bottom line moving? I think they're starting to see a little bit of a surge of speed. Could they get side by side for the lead? Do we see possibly DeCiani throw a block? Nope, DeCiani getting a little bit loose off the bumper of the 76, and we got a race. Also have a lap car. I do believe that is, I'm not sure, I think that's Blair Holloman. No, that is Barry Stevens, who, of course, has a lot of damage on that race car. And we were 4 wide at some places there. That was kind of a scary ordeal. But I do believe we're out of the danger zone for now. But, of course, that bottom line really had surged ahead. Got a good run. But, of course, top line, middle groove, seems like they have the speed. You can see, of course, Brian Johnson, Kenny Powell trying to make something happen, but they're really falling back. It doesn't seem like they have speed at the moment. I'm not sure why that is. But it looks like Darren Mullins in a fight for the lead. Looks like that bottom line has started to get some momentum back.
If you remember, Brian and Kenny both were involved in an incident a little earlier on, and I think that's what's probably keeping them from being able to catch that lead back.
It could very well be. Just any sort of arrow or something like that that maybe is hindering them could definitely be the case. Matt DeCiani trying to hold on, but we were just talking about, well, I don't know, Big Al. Look at this run that Powell and Johnson are making now, though. They were just looking like they were struggling. I don't think they were. I don't know if they were trying to cool the temperatures down so they could make a run at it, because look at this. They're right now side by side for 6th place, and they're, look at this run. Whoa!
It gives a whole new meaning to 2 trailer park girls going around the outside.
And also they have, of course, another teammate, Chris Johnson. I do want to mention Chris Johnson in that 56. He is 19 laps down, and he is out here flying around the racetrack. Of course, we were talking about, Kenny and Chris. They were involved in a crash together earlier. And Chris Johnson, I do believe, broke a toe link. So he has gotten that fixed, and he is back in action here.
Matt's still doing his thing, though. He is definitely leading the way here, man. And I'm really tickled pink to see that highline be so successful here. Because just when I mean, so many times I say stuff and I'm wrong. Feels good to be right once in a while.
Look at the back bumper of Matt DeCiani. You could tell that Derek Heitman has been beating that back bumper. I'll tell you, you see that? Big Al, there's a pretty good sized dent. And there it is, boom, right there. That's why that dent's there. Oh, block from Patrick Getter. As we're starting to see some blocks being thrown here as we start lap 81. Shane Parrish right now in control of the race. And that just shows you how quick things can change. As we're 3 wide in the mid-pack, Kyle Holden stuck in the middle with Josh Schultz behind him. Of course, Darren Mullins leading that bottom line. He's got John Bender behind him. Kenny Powell and Brian Johnson. I'll tell you, I think they have signed a treaty or an alliance or something like that. You can tell Kenny and Brian are staying together. It's almost like the G&G band is back together. And that's not a surprise to me. I don't think that's a surprise at all, because you got to think, I got to be honest, it was a missed opportunity for the Paradigm team. 3 of their drivers did not make the show tonight. So who else are they going to work with except for Kenny Powell and G&G? Woo, that was close. Kenny Powell almost gets up into Derek Heitman, and that almost was a wreck. We still might have a wreck. Josh Schultz, 4 wide with J.C. Evans. Ooh, this is getting a little scary. Josh Schultz getting hung out to dry. He's going to back up to Greg Wachinski. Man, this is getting exciting.
And I think you're right. I think Kenny and Brian, they do work together. I mean, these guys know each other. They've been racing here, so why not team up with somebody that you know, that you completely trust?
Yeah, and if you know you don't have another teammate, you might as well work together. And there goes Brian. He follows Kenny Powell. They jump down in front of Dylan Banks. They might be going for the lead here. They're side by side with Shane Parrish at the moment.
The Navy says,
there they go.
Any port in a storm.
And they have it. They have it at the moment, and they're going to move up to the top of the racetrack. And it seems like whoever holds the top controls the race. And Kenny Powell, he went from 0 to hero. Of course, he had damage earlier that put him at the back of the pack, and he got it all fixed, Big Al. And here he is, in control of the event. He won stage 1, has a fast race car.
I can't believe you said that Kenny was a 0.
Dylan Banks, though, look at him up here in the lead now, being pushed by Kyle Holden. Oh, Kenny Powell back to a 0 again as he hits the wall. I'm just playing, Kenny. Please don't fire me.
Speaking of firing, man,
my last podcast, y'all.
We gotta do that crank it up thing sometime here pretty soon, Brian.
Hey, let's crank it up. Let's go ahead and crank it up. We got to see if we can debut that and see how it sounds. Are we cranking? Oh, you gotta tell us something. I didn't know we were still live.
And we are back watching this thing unfold. Dylan Banks now leading this run on the top. He's got Shane Parrish, I believe, right behind him.
That he does. What a short crank it up session. I thought we were going to crank it up for a little bit longer than that, but we are back.
No, that's the pump it up. We pump it up for longer. The crank it up, that's just for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Darren Mullins, though, leading that bottom line. Of course, he's got Kyle Holden in tow. And I'm wondering, when do you think the pit strategy is going to unfold? I do believe the fuel window, if I'm not mistaken, is open. And looking at the amount of laps these guys have turned, is about 32 laps into this stint. Fuel window is 38. Now, of course, we should keep in mind that we did pace under caution a little bit. So that should make it so where some drivers can make it a little bit further. I also do want to mention that some drivers pitted on lap 24 laps ago. So that'll make them be able to make it a little bit further. How does that fit in as we come up to Barry Stevens again? Stevens well off the pace. And looking at it, I do believe, I think Kyle Holden was one that pitted. No, I'm sorry. Who was? Darren Mullins was one that pitted 24 laps ago. So he can make it a lot further than the rest of these drivers. Now, that could be, I mean, that just gives you more options, right, Big Al?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you're looking for here, man. You're looking for anything that you can do to help you get at least ahead of the leader pack, because it's not like a normal race. These guys are all in a pack, so anything they might not all even make it down pit road and back out unscathed. Some of these guys might bust the speed going in, some of them might bust the speed going out, some of them might miss their box. You know, remember the ISCA, they don't penalize for that stuff, so you can get as sloppy as you want to down there.
Now, I know, one of the things you always say, and I think it pertains to that exact point.
Yeah, you drive for dough. You drive for show and you pit for dough.
Oh, I'll tell you what, somebody's trying to drive for show out there. Derek Heitman just threw a massive block on Darren Mullins, and that equaled a hit. That almost was an accident right there.
Yeah. Somebody was trying to keep us from having green flag pit stops.
Yeah, definitely. Now, one thing, I totally agree with everything you just said there. Things could go incredibly wrong on pit road, but really, it doesn't even have to go incredibly wrong. It could just go just a hair wrong, Big Al. If you are just a little slow getting into your box and you lose the draft, that's all it takes. That is all. You literally
have to have that 10th of a miles per hour. You got to be right on the money right there, because you don't want to lose any time whatsoever, and you're not going to lose it on the racetrack. You're going to lose it getting on and off of pit road and in the box.
Yeah, and if it goes green until the end and you mess up, you lost the race. And here we go. We got a lap car coming up. That is Derek Jacobs. As you can see, Dylan Banks moves up the track to try to accommodate for the 27, who's holding the bottom. Of course, Kenny Powell pushing. Oh, big wiggles. Big wiggles from Shane
That
Parrish.
caused that entire bottom line to kind of check up and avert. It's almost like, when we're flying in formation in helicopters and something like that happens, everybody just, like you kind of scramble, but, where you break a certain way. But, yeah, everybody was breaking at that point. And look at what it did to the formation. I mean, now these guys might also be getting ready for the green flag pit stops. I think that's what it is. Drivers were trying to check up to get low, just not wanting to get left out. What are you doing, Brian? Are you coming in with the field, or are you running?
No, I'm coming in with everybody. I feel like that's the only option here. You want to go with the majority, because that's where all the speed's going to be. Their strength in numbers.
So looking at the way these guys are stacking up, we're in that window. I'm thinking you're going to see green flag pit stops here probably on the next lap.
We very well could see those on the next lap. I mean, it definitely seemed like maybe JC and Kenny Powell possibly were gearing up for those pit stops.
Well, you can see the guys that aren't coming in.
Not.
Yeah, absolutely.
John Bender, definitely not.
And probably somebody from the low end is going to jump up high, too.
You see that Matt DeCiani and Heitman just moved up the track. I think they're showing that they're not pitting. Kyle Holden, new leader. Well, looks like they're going to be staying out one more lap.
One more lap. They're getting ready. But Brian, I don't know, man. I'm looking at the field, and the field is not – they're not taking the coat check. They want to dance some more. They're all just out there just like, hey, look, no, Not me. I mean, let's do the salsa, baby.
Oh yeah, it looked like these guys were preparing for stops, but as soon as they all kind of had single filed out, and then all of a sudden right back to double file, 3 wide type racing.
Yeah, they're probably sitting
We'll
down there
see.
talking. Probably sitting down there talking to themselves, saying, "Hey, let's make Big Al look stupid. Let's take him out."
Another lap car, and that is of course I do believe Blair Holloman in the 10 machine.
Oh,
And
Blair!
still,
Blair's had some.
Is
Blair's
anybody
had
coming
some.
in? No one.
Blair's had some ups and downs, so
Yeah.
you know he's been here for. I think this is his second season, and I mean, yeah, you stay in there and you just keep swinging. That's all I could say, man. You're gonna get punched
Definitely
in the
got to keep
face.
at it.
Yeah, you're gonna get punched in the gut. It's not always gonna feel good. It's not always gonna look pretty, but you just gotta keep going round and round.
And
Don't
how
be
about
like
this
me.
for Dylan Banks? First race in the ISCA, and he's out here leading. RaceCPI.com got to be that team's got to be incredibly happy with the driver.
Well, no, it's his first race in the ISCA, but it's not his first race overall, you know. So.
Oh no, definitely not. He's at almost 5,000 I rating.
Yeah, Dylan's no stranger to victory lane, folks. Don't think he's no spring chicken.
Yeah, looking at the see, he's led 9 laps thus far. He started in 7th place. I rating 4,896. So very high I rating. Now, of course, we have drivers in here that are almost 7,000 I rating. So very talented field we have out here. Josh Schultz moving to the back. I do believe, not sure if he's preparing to pit or what he's doing, but he's going to the back of the field here. As everybody has gotten single filed out quite a bit, I'm wondering if maybe now they're starting to prepare.
I don't know. Look how
a lot of these drivers are 40 laps into their stints.
Look at how far Kenny Powell has fallen back into the pack.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are now 40 laps into their stint.
That's going to kill you, man. That's why I'm saying I'm flipping the coin. I'm going different. When I know I can make it to the end +1, I'm coming down. I'm getting away from you clowns because some of you are going to wreck going onto the road. I guarantee you that. Somebody's not going to get the memo. Somebody's going to burn it in fast. You know, it is what it is. It's going to be out of control.
No, I can definitely see your reasoning there. Here we go. There we are. Dylan Banks coming. Here comes Shane Parrish.
People are everywhere.
A lot of drivers
locking them up, trying to get it. Looks pretty good, though. Everybody appeared to have got it down to the controlled speed. Here they go now. Now we'll be watching to see how well they get in their boxes and out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far.
Really great performance there for everybody, though. They were 3 wide coming on pit road and still were able to avoid hitting one another. No one really locked up the tires, which is that's impressive, I got to say.
Yeah, man. These guys, it's like they've been to the Big Al School of Pits.
Yeah, they know how to pit for dough.
Now we still got this second run. You know, and looks like the second row guys are going to be coming in here pretty soon. And the one thing you're hoping now is that nobody just kind of F's it up while, you know, we're in that window still.
There goes Darren Mullins, he's leaving Tim Wortman Jr. all by himself. Kenny Powell, of course, comes to pit road with Josh Schultz. So definitely interesting to say the least. Like I said, I feel like I would want to pit with the pack, and because Tim Wortman Jr. I got to be honest, this is not ideal for the 83. He's probably gonna whenever he gets done with his pit stop, he's probably not gonna have the draft of the actual main pack. So I think that his chance of winning this race, might have just burned up if we don't have a caution.
We're doing one more.
Now, 20 to go.
It's Talladega. We gotta have another caution.
It's definitely possible. I think we definitely could have a caution for sure. And I do believe net leader at the moment is going to be Patrick Gitter. As, of course, I do believe we're looking at Darren Mullins, who just got passed by Gitter, DeCiani, Heitman, and Parrish. So I want to point to this. We talked about how important pit road is. Look at the change. Before pit stops, everybody was all together, right? After pit stops, Patrick Gitter, Matt DeCiani, Derek Heitman, and Shane Parrish are pretty much the front four when it comes to track position that have already pitted. Now that's interesting to me because, I mean, everybody else pitted. Dylan Banks, Brian John, all those guys pitted at the same time that Patrick Gitter, DeCiani, and Heitman did. So why are they not with them? That it just makes me think that they made some sort of mistake on pit road.
Well, speaking of that, I think we need to possibly take one more pause for the cause and then come back so we can cover this thing into the end of it.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take a brief step away. We'll be right back.
I used to have to go in to the auto parts store. Pay too much, never find quite what I'm looking for. Now I just go online to Rock Auto and see all the parts my car will ever need. Lower prices, more parts, more brands. It's so easy to find the right parts fast. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto. All the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ISCA Super Cup Series as we are tackling the Rock Auto 250 or 313, what it should be named. But of course, we'll do a quick update of what's going on the track. Tim Wortman Jr. is right now in the lead, but of course he has yet to pit. He is required to do a pit stop here. Of course, Alexander Carr as well has to pit. Greg Carr has to pit. The net leader at the moment, essentially, is Patrick Gitter. Whenever those three pit, Patrick Gitter will be the leader. Matt DeCiani, Derek Heitman, and Shane Parrish, they are all
on their way around pit road.
I'm sorry?
The 18 pit road.
Sounds like Alexander Carr and Greg Carr both coming to pit road, so that's going to put Patrick Gitter up to second place. But Shane Parrish essentially has about 10 seconds in between him and Darren Mullins. Darren Mullins is the next car. He is in sixth place, what is effectively going to be fifth when Tim Wortman Jr. comes down pit road. Now, those green flag pit stops really split the field up. I mean, imagine that, 10 seconds in between the top four to the next group of race cars.
And Brian, barring a caution coming out here towards the end of this thing, it's really going to be hard to get this pack back together. And that's the one thing that I think a lot of drivers were kind of concerned about. With, like you were saying with the pit strategy, you don't want to get left out. Well, we had a couple different groups, and now we still have a couple different groups.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, these pit stops have just really changed the entire game. And you could tell that second group of cars are trying to catch up to the front four. Darren Mullins, of course, leading the way, being pushed by Griesbaum by the 24. And they are making up some ground. Looking at lap times, they're matching lap times with that top four.
Yeah, but see,
if they really work together, I still don't.
But here's the thing, though, Brian. You can have a 4-car breakaway. You can turn that 4 into 3 and be okay. But this second group, they not only have to match that, they have to better that. And unless they can get unless they can get 7, 8 cars in a line and do something we haven't seen, I don't know if they're going to be able to run those guys down.
Well, they do have enough cars. It's just, do they have the? I think they have enough cars. I think they have that part of the equation. That the part that they might not have is the cooperation, the coordination.
And another thing, we always see where, but there's a number. There's a number of how many cars are going to be fastest, especially at Talladega and Daytona. And if these guys don't know that number, because running in a straight line isn't always going to be the best case. Sometimes you need a 3 or 4 car split.
Yeah, and and right now I've been looking at the last lap. They were about a half a second, 4/10 slower than the front four. So I definitely don't think that they're going to be able to catch up, especially with only coming up to 12 laps to go. This second pack is going to need a caution. They're essentially racing for 5th right now. And at some point, they're going to realize that. At some point, they're going to say, okay, us working together is not working. Let's race.
So and that's what they're going to do. They're going to race anyway.
Right now. Here we go.
That's what people do. People, they just panic and like run. Everybody's running the same direction. Nobody's talking. That's what you end up with.
Yeah, no coordination.
You got a 2-car breakaway up front. You got 2 cars up high. You got a good 6-car pack there that's kind of running on the low line, and then you got a 1 straggler up top. So, yeah, I don't know what ingredients we're putting together to make a stew, but I don't know if that stew's going to be served in winner's circle.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that stew's not going to taste very good. They got the wrong ingredients. But here comes Dylan Banks. He's getting a big run with the help of, I do believe, Randy Bell. And we did get a comment as well on our broadcast from Thomas Kulmachevsky. He did mention that I do believe Dylan Banks is a good driver. So we appreciate you, Thomas, cooperating and,
yeah,
adding
absolutely.
to the conversation.
Dylan's an awesome driver.
I just noticed the paint scheme that Frank Flores has. Can we get an eye on that? Talladega Nights paint scheme. I just noticed that. What an appropriate paint scheme from Frank Flores. He's got Ricky Bobby right on the front of that thing. You love to see it.
That's not the Cougar car, was it?
I wish it was, but I still like that paint scheme. I got to give it to him.
I was at Talladega in 2010, and I can't remember who it was, but they actually ran the Me paint scheme.
Oh, Kenny Powell just hit the wall, I do believe, off the bumper of possibly J.C. Evan. Of course, those are teammates. Doesn't seem like they're working very well together at the moment. As we're coming up to, I do believe, 9 laps to go.
And we know Powell's got a fast car. We've seen him put that thing where it needed to be and get in the money spot and freaking, run all the way to the front. So just a different scenario here right now, Brian. But I'm thinking that the caution is going to come from Pack 2.
No, I definitely agree. I don't think we'll see caution from Pack number 1. The top 4, Patrick Gitter, Matt DeCiani, Shane Parrish, or I should say Derek Heitman and Shane Parrish, have gotten by some more lap cars. So that is kind of interesting to note as well. But yeah, it looks like the racing has intensified And Kyle Holden has moved his way up to 5th. Definitely going to be trying to get some points here. But they're 14 seconds back from the top 4. And you know that's going to be a feather in that Team Conti group's cap. Because, I mean, they know they unloaded fast. And for them to execute so well, they executed flawlessly on pit road. That's the only thing that can explain them be able to get such a gap coming off of pit road. I mean, they just executed. Whoa, big move there. Frank Flores down on the apron, saves it. That could have been a bad deal. That could have been the place where we saw the caution.
Oh, it's coming out. Big
Andrew
one. Oh, wow.
Griesbaum
He destroyed that car.
wall.
I don't know if the debris on the racetrack is going to be enough to cause the caution or not, but it doesn't appear so. But
Let's go back and look and see what happened to Griesbaum. Wow. We're not sure exactly what happened here, but we're getting ready to find out. Yep, the 78 of Griesbaum. Oh, and it looks like I think JC Evans and Paul Olson caught up to him incredibly fast and just threw him into the outside wall. Wow. Look at this closing race. I'm not sure what JC was doing here. I got to be honest with you. I feel like JC could have taken evasive maneuvers a lot better than that. I got to be honest. I mean, I think Andrew was holding the bottom line. He was just hanging out on the bottom. I mean, I don't think he was being really unpredictable. I just don't understand why JC... I mean, of course, I don't think JC did this on purpose. Not at all. But I think that JC definitely made a mistake there.
I think JC's just trying to get his numbers up so he can get back in a booth for another race.
I think he's trying to get suspended again, apparently.
Ooh, there's your wreck. Bam, wreck just happened right there. Caution's going to come out for this one.
And the caution flag is now the AS70. The 70 of Dylan Banks missing his front end. This is definitely the epicenter here. The 70 of Dylan Banks.
Looks like that was a 3-car tango right there, but it only takes 2.
And I'll tell you what, this is going to deflate that front 4. Those Team Conti drivers are probably going to be crying after that. You see Dylan Banks pushing Chris Johnson. And you know what's really crazy about this? Chris Johnson is several laps down. Chris is not even in the race, really, for a lead lap finish. And Dylan Banks, and I'm not saying I don't blame her. I don't know. Let's look at this. Let's look at this here, because you can see Dylan pushing. Oh, no, yeah, not JC Evans. This is a different race car. The 70 of Dylan Banks is who we're looking for. And then we see right here Dylan Banks following behind Chris Johnson. I think it just, oh, man, what a hit for Chris Johnson. I just don't know what could have led to this crash. I mean, it just seemed like a bad bump. I think that's the only way to explain it. Wouldn't you say, Big Al?
Yeah, but I mean, the caution is not going to come from the guys that are competing from second or third. It's going to come way back in the pack. It's not going to make any sense, and it's just going to be a huge inconvenience. So that's what happens. That's what you get. So
yeah.
To the guys that are leaning forward, and I mean, they knew this was going to happen. You got to know you're going to get to Talladega. You're going to find yourself in one of these shootout situation scenarios, right? What do you do now? Do you run what you brung? Because it's 5 laps. It's going to be 3 once the flag waves, and man, that's the ultimate shootout.
I don't know. I mean, it might be just a 2-lap shootout here. I don't, because I mean the pace car lights have not gone out yet, so I really don't know how much of a shootout we're going to have here. But I know it's going to be a short race to the end. You can see the damage on the 56 and the 70. And what I just think is crazy is the 56 is like 20 laps down. I just don't understand like how the caution comes from someone that's 20 laps down. Now I know Chris Johnson's going to be like, why are you blaming me for this crash? I just don't understand why they were pushing each other so hard and racing so hard when it didn't seem like there was really any positions to be gained.
Why don't you pull them up Why don't you pull them up and ask them?
I guess we could.
They're not going anywhere.
Chris Johnson, we got you up here in the booth. What just happened, man?
I have no idea. I know those guys. I was 6 laps down. I'm just trying to make it to the end. Lick my.
You're actually 20 laps down, actually.
Oh yeah, I mean I've lost count. It's been kind of hectic out here, but I was trying to let the lead lap guys by. I know that I had damage. I'm real slow, and I tried to drop to the bottom, and I guess he tried to follow me, but it's okay. I mean, it ended my night. Probably for the best.
Well, I definitely know that the top 4 that had a 14, 15-second lead are probably a little bit not too happy, deflated, because they of course had a chance to win it, but now that actually gives your brother a chance again. But we just were curious what happened there, because I know you were 20 laps down, and it's like I'm sure that you didn't mean to be in an accident to cause a caution being 20 laps down.
Oh no, certainly not. But it was unfortunate. Hopefully somebody get up there and beat these Team Conti guys, and hopefully we'll have a good green-white checkered.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for your time. We'll give a shout out to anybody before we let you go back to.
Of course, Southern Spiral Pipe, Team Paradigm Racing. Kenny for putting it on, and y'all up in the booth.
All right, Chris. Thanks.
Thank you.
All righty, that was Chris Johnson, driver of the 56. So at least we got it right from his mouth. Of course, it sounds like he was trying to let the 70 go. So that explains everything. But I mean, this is interesting. I love that how he did say, like, now this gives a lot of people a chance to try to come up here and beat these Team Conti guys. Because like I was saying, Big Al, these guys had 14, 15-second lead over the rest of the field. There was no hope of anybody catching them. And now this caution has made it to where there are, a bunch of drivers that now have a chance to win this thing.
Yeah, but we see this happen, man. This is a typical super speedway scenario. The wreck never comes from the front. It always comes from the back. It's always the guys that are competing for 11th and 12th. But, what you got to do now is you just got to get your head back in the game. You got to focus, and you got to be on point for the next 2 laps, Brian, because the other 116 won't matter.
And here we go. Pace car is, of course, going to be getting down and away here in a moment. And I do believe we're going to have ourselves an unofficial green-white checkered. This is an unofficial green-white checkered, which means we will have an opportunity for a legit green-white checkered if we do not hit the white flag.
Yeah, everybody's on their feet here, Brian.
Oh, I'm on my feet too. Metaphorically speaking. I, of course, am sitting in an office chair, just to be honest. But here we go, into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out. And there it is. Patrick Gitter up through the gears. Matt DeCiani, though, with a little bit of a better head of steam. As you can see, Shane Parrish working together with the 1. But look at DeCiani, or I should say, look at Gitter hooking up with Heitman. They're starting to move.
2 laps to go. No doubt that high line is definitely going to make itself available, prevalent, and they're going to get going and get high. And you can see them doing just that. They're going to try to get as much distance they can to break that side draft because they don't want that bottom row. Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Brian Johnson kind of getting locked out. As you can see, J.C. Evans.
Oh, they're going to make the flag.
Here we go.
Are they going to make the flag?
Know.
They're not going to make the flag. Caution's going to be out.
And caution flag is out, and that means green-white checkered. And I do believe the caution coming as a result of, I think, contact with the 24.
Yeah, Kenny Powell, man. He had a magnet in the front right bumper of that car, and it just is a concrete magnet. And it was just trying to get to the wall.
You can see Kenny. Kenny just went up the racetrack into, I think that's Josh Schultz. And, I don't know why Kenny moved up. I mean, I'm wondering if he thought he was clear and just wasn't. He was not clear. And then, of course, that actually didn't cause the caution. The caution was John Bender and someone else. You see Frank going around slowly. Ooh. That's, of course, Randy Belk right there.
I believe those are Kenny's teammates that are actually left in his wake.
Man, that brings that caution flag out. You can see the debris just all over the racetrack.
But you know what? Only Frank Flores suffered the dreaded repairs required flag. Everybody else lives to race another day, Brian. And we are officially going to overtime.
That is Frank Flores. We were talking about him having the repairs required, and it is clear why he has the repairs required. Look at that. That wheel is being it's hanging on by a thread.
I think that is the perfect graphical representation of Frank Flores.
It's hanging on by a thread.
That is the perfect digital representation of Frank Flores.
Yeah, of course, Frank, very fast. He's been getting faster and faster.
All he needs a blue light.
We've seen him.
You put a blue light on top of that car, that's Frank.
And I'll tell you, I definitely believe Frank's going to click him one off one of these days. I mean, he's been getting faster and faster. The guys at Team Conti have been helping him out quite a bit. So I got to give them a lot of credit for always sticking with Frank and trying to help him to get better and better. And you could see that the effort shows week in and week out. As Matt DeCiani in control right now. But who knows who is going to be leading at the end of this thing.
Like Matt said, though, they were fast off the truck, man, and I've seen it. So now it's just about bringing these cars back together, line them back up one more time. But Matt DeCiani has been blowing it every time. He has been getting tremendous launches, Brian, and I think that's going to be one thing that's going to be a factor. He is fast off the line.
No, I definitely think he is.
I mean,
I don't know if that's going to be. I don't know if that's going to be good enough to keep everybody else behind him. I think it's going to take some type of desperate moves because I just know we got some drivers that are willing to. What are they willing to do? I mean, they want to win. And I got to be honest. I mean, we even heard that say from Chris Johnson. I mean, we heard it from Chris Johnson say, "Hey, somebody come up here and beat the Team Conti guys." I think that there is a lot of somewhat of an unspoken hit out on those guys.
The next wreck is going to wave the flag, right? So as long as Matt DeCiani gets that launch like he's gotten the last two restarts,
that's true.
They're not going to catch him.
No, if a caution comes out, yeah, you're 100% right. So if he can just get the launch right, but if there is no caution, then he's in trouble.
I don't know. We've seen that 4-car breakaway pretty strong tonight. We've seen the most dominant gaps being from the initial start of the race. Every restart to include the initial start, that's when this whole field blows up. And they're not able to get it back together again except until this. But I don't think everybody's going to get a launch.
Well, I mean, I know that there are some cars that are like Kyle Holden, Brian Johnson. I think they still have cars that are capable of maybe mounting a charge on the Team Conti guys.
That's going to be people mounting blocks, and I'm just telling you.
Yeah, that's the block. That's where the blocks are going to come in. That's where the desperation is going to really show. And at this point, I think those blocks might not be answered in a positive way. This is at that point. There is no give and take. No one is going to give. No one is going to. I mean, everybody's going to be all take
Look, everybody here right now has a chance of being a hero. Period. End of statement. You got a chance of winning a race. I don't care if you're in 13th or 3rd. Once this flag waves here at Talladega, you're just hoping that everybody keeps them pointed the right direction long enough to get it back around here to make it official.
Well, we're getting ready to find out the results of this race here in just a few moments.
I'm
as
excited.
the green flag is getting ready to fly. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here tonight to the ISCA. Here comes the pace car, taking that left turn down pit road. That's Matt DeCiani going to control the field for the last restart of the night. This one's going to be for all the marbles. Green flag out in the air. Matt DeCiani with a fairly decent start, with, of course, teammate Patrick Gitter on the rear end.
Got a two-car. They got a 2-car lead there for. 2-car draft for the lead. I mean, they could go high or low right now. It's their call, but they got to go together, and they're making that decision right now to go high. Looks like we're going to have a 3-wide scenario. Nope, they're going to get all the way up high to block that. That's going to put it back down to 2-wide. But Brian, their car is bouncing off the wall.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, Derek Heitman just threw a block on Kyle Holden. But here comes Kyle Holden, though, to the rear end of the 76. He's like, okay, you want to block me? I'll just push you to the front. And here we go.
Did not get the bump that he needed to keep him consistent and up front. That is going to cost him. Now this top line is going to have to get reconstituted, Brian, as there are now 1 lap to go.
Kenny Powell around.
That's going to end it. That's going to end the race.
Well, I don't know. I think we're going to finish this thing. It'll be still under green. They are still racing for the lead. Derek Heitman versus Matt DeCiani. Who is going to take it all home? Of course, Derek Heitman has won the most races this season, I do believe.
Matt DeCiani has a little bit of a...
I'm sorry, Derek Heitman. Yes, Derek Heitman has won the most races this season.
But DeCiani's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, Brian. I mean, he's not wanting to give this up, but I don't know if they're going to have enough real estate to make it happen. Heitman sideways at the line.
This is going to be tough. Darren Mullins might have it. No, DeCiani gets it.
There's Matt DeCiani again. He made it happen, Brian. Against all odds.
What just happened?
We could write a song about that.
Because Kyle Holden and Derek Heitman, something happened that caused Kyle to turn Heitman. I want to look back at that, if we can, as Matt DeCiani. You even said it, that he couldn't catch those guys, but it didn't matter. He was gifted this race. As we're going to look at this, you can see.
He's going for the move. He was going for the move. Yeah, the 99 was definitely disengaging, man. He was on his own run, and that's why I don't think he really cared about turning the 76 as a classic pit maneuver.
Well, let's look at that from the eyes of the 59, if we can. From the cockpit camera.
Derek Heitman's not going to be happy about that at all.
Oh, I guarantee he's not. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about that at another time. As you see right here, of course. Yeah, I think Kyle Holden was going for a move, and I think Derek.
Get from behind me if you're going to do that. Don't turn me.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know what? If Kyle had just kept his head down and stayed behind Derek, they would have had a 1-2. Kyle would have finished his first podium in his career. He's not been on the podium in the ISCA yet, and that would have been his first podium, but unfortunately that is not going to be the case. Let's go ahead and run down through the final results here. As of course, DeCiani, of course, burns it down. Matt DeCiani, your winner here tonight. Patrick Gitter, home in second place. They, of course, the Team Conti guys, dominated this race. Darren Mullins, very impressive third place here tonight. Kyle Holden, fourth. Shane Harris, fifth. Brian Johnson, sixth. J.C. Evans, after not racing last week, finishes seventh. Josh Schultz, I do believe this might be his first top 10. He finishes eighth. Dylan Banks, his first race with a destroyed front end. He had a destroyed race car, and he finished 9th. Randy Belk in 10th.
I'm placing me Jeffrey Ford with John Binder coming in 12th. Kenny Powell. Wow. Powell, wow. What a night he had, coming in 13th with 10. Wortman Jr. in 14th. 15th, Derek Heitman in 16th. Paul Oos in 17th place shows Greg Carr. 18th place shows relative Alexander Carr. 19th, Jose Medina, and Derek Jacobs rounds off the top 20.
21st, Blair Holloman. 22nd, Jay Hone. 23rd, Greg Wachinski. 24th, Nick King. 25th, Barry Stevens. 26th, Frank Flores. 27th, Andrew Ruthbaum. 28th, Mark Sanchez. 29th, Chris Johnson. 30th, David Centeni. 31st, pole sitter. He started on the pole, finished 31st. That's Miller Bonds. Matthew Cisna finishes 32nd, and Jeremy Sumter rounds out this 33 car field. With that, we're going to take a brief step away. We'll come back and we'll talk to our top 3 finishers.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
I used to have to go in to the auto parts store. Pay too much, never find quite what I'm looking for. Now I just go online to Rock Auto and see all the parts my car will ever need. Lower prices, more parts, more brands. It's so easy to find the right parts fast. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto. All the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the iRacing Stock Car Association race here at Talladega Super Speedway. We just concluded the event. 313, actually probably more than that, down 313 miles plus, I should say, 120 plus miles, or should I say laps. Man, I just can't talk. It's just a lot of stuff going on there at the end, and my mouth just does not seem to want to work. But My name is Brian Britt. Of course, Big Al's here with me. We're going to be talking to our final, or should I say top 3 finishers. Darren Mullins is going to be first up to bat. Darren, we got you up here in the booth. Do you read me?
Yes, sir, guys. Go ahead.
All righty, we got him in the booth. Definitely a great run for you tonight, Darren. You seemed like you had a really fast race car. Walk us through that final lap. It seemed like you even had a chance to win this thing towards the end there.
Yeah, I was just needing a little help. We did have a fast car tonight. I was playing with them Team Conti boys, just trying to hang with them. And they kept me up front all night because I ain't got any teammates really in here tonight. So it's hard to find some help. So I just hung out with them tonight.
Well, it definitely seemed like you picked the right group to hang out with for sure. I mean, definitely a really good points night for you here at Talladega. You know, what do you think this does momentum-wise for you? I know that, you know, you definitely, I guess you've been having some bad luck as well in some of the previous races, but now it seems like it's swinging the other way. You think you're going to be able to use this momentum?
Yeah, last couple of weeks have been good for me. I needed it to turn it around for sure. I've had some bad luck this year. So we collected a few stage points tonight and a top 3. So it'll definitely help going forward and take this momentum and go into the summer.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing what you could do, Darren. Who can we shout out after your third place finish?
All the league sponsors, got to thank them all. Mine, Ram Welding and Fabrication, you boys at the booth. Loving this league too. Go ISCA.
All right, Darren. Thanks for your time and great job on the third place. We'll talk to you hopefully next week.
All right, man. Thank you, sir.
All right, that was Darren Mullins. Next up, Big Al standing by with Patrick Gitter.
Patrick, get a Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Big Al, I got you.
Patrick, man, another solid performance for you here tonight. I'm just wondering, and this is a real legitimate question. I assume you're not used to having this much competition. I mean, because tonight was a true battle for you down there, wasn't it?
Man, it really was. You know, there were so many different runs we had to look out for, a lot of lead changes, a lot of different guys that made their way to the front. So it was a challenging night, man. We just had to kind of persevere and stick to our plan at the end, and luckily it worked out for us there with those last couple laps.
Yeah, so what are you thinking about all of the new drivers? We had 33 cars here tonight, man. I mean, I know that you know, you probably didn't get to experience a lot of it because you were up front, but that's still got to be out there, you know, something that affects the way you tackle this thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, more cars definitely means more people to kind of work around, navigate, learn new guys' driving styles and how they race, things like that. But I love it. I mean, I'm glad to see some new guys, more cars here tonight. It adds to the competition, and you know, jump in here and feel like watching other guys. You've got an opportunity to learn something new. So I think it's great.
Yeah, what was you guys' preparation this week coming to Talladega? It's a track that a lot of people are familiar with. You guys have been here, you know, 100 times, even though the setups change. Did you guys come into this, you know, with a different mentality, or did you just come into this thing saying, hey, we're going to stick to our game plan and just try to win races?
I think for, you know, our teammates, you know, we've run together for a while now, and we understand how we race at these super speedways. So I just feel like the super speedways, it's just as much on your teammates and how you work together as it is driving style and, you know, your ability to race on the super speedways. So I just think that was part of the puzzle for us tonight. And we were able to kind of capitalize on that just with the camaraderie that we've got.
Patrick, it's always a pleasure to watch you. You're one of my favorites down there performing, man. Every week you kind of come in here and you just kind of put on a great show. Congratulations to your second place finish, man. Before we let you go, who you shouting out tonight?
Yeah, first off, Matt, great win tonight. He was up there all race, helped us out with some strategy, talking through the game plans. So I'm glad he got a win tonight. You know, also Darren Mullins for the third place finish. He was, you know, he ran great all night. Shout out to Team Conti Performance. They gave us a great set this week. Glad we were able to capitalize on that. Also Martin PC, Seminario Designs. And obviously you guys in the booth, and Kenny for running the league.
All right, man. As always, it's a pleasure. And like I always say, don't party too hard. This is Big Al, and hopefully we'll see you on the podium next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, guys.
Alrighty, that was Patrick Gitter, driver of the 21 machine. Next up, we're going to be talking to Matt DeCiani. Matt, definitely a fantastic run for you here tonight. I mean, it seemed like you were up front a lot of the night. Now, walk us through kind of the feelings that I guess you would have had when the caution came out after you guys, I think it was Shane Parrish, you, Heitman, and Gitter, and the caution came out. You guys had 15 seconds of a lead. What was the thoughts?
Yeah, I was pretty upset about that. Like, we were gonna brawl it out between the four of us. But it would have been nice to finish 1 through 4. The game plan kind of changed when that yellow came out, kind of to just, all right, let's get one of us to win at least, and yeah. But that was a crazy last 2 laps. Kind of got hung out, and chaos kind of happened, and luckily Pat stuck with me, and yeah, I barely got to the line in front of the other guys.
Yeah, and it definitely was pretty scary there. I know on the last lap, like you said, you got hung out. And it didn't seem like you had the momentum to catch up there to Heitman or Kyle Holden. But somehow they, of course, got involved in an accident, and that kind of gave the race back into your hands. So, in a way, I guess that worked out great for you, but, of course, didn't work out great for your other teammate. But, I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe you've won this season, have you?
No, I don't. Yeah, I haven't. So this is my first win this year.
And at a track like this, no less. I mean, usually you're one that I think is a lot better at the technical tracks like the road courses. So is Talladega usually something that you're good at, or because I mean, it seemed like you definitely had some speed out there tonight and knew what you were doing with the strategy wise.
I mean, you can't really say you're good at Talladega. I mean, there's so much that happens, honestly, and as Patrick mentioned, it's about the teamwork, knowing who you're with, how to push them, who needs to push where, and just I think the collective team effort. Honestly, any 4 of us probably could have won the race. It's all about the teamwork. You know, you got to have a fast set, but end of the day is you need to have a buddy to win these races, and luckily I had a few friends out there tonight.
Definitely, it seemed like a team definitely won the race here today, and I gotta be honest. I mean, I know this has nothing to do with an interview. I gotta be honest. I'd be curious to see if all the Paradigm guys that showed up, what that would have looked like. But you know, Team Conti definitely had the coordination and the setup. And you guys were able to nail as well the green flag pit stops. I think that was a huge reason that you guys were so good here tonight as well, was just your execution. So great job to you, Matt. Next week we're heading to Dover. What are you thinking about that place?
I love Dover. Dover's probably one of my favorite tracks. It'll be interesting to see just on some testing I've done. I think we're going to have a ton of tire fall off, a lot of lap time fall off. Be curious to see if we get multiple grooves there, but yeah, I think it's going to be a great race.
All right, well, who can we shout out after this, your first win of the season, Matt?
Yeah, shout out Team Conti Sim Performance. You know, my teammates, Pat, Derek, Shane, Randy did well tonight. Everyone put on a good showing. Shout out to Darren as P3. Thanks to you guys for calling the race. Kenny for putting on the league. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Alrighty, that was Matt DeCiani, driver of the One Machine. He finishes in the first place position here tonight. Great job to him for sure. Definitely an awesome show here. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We definitely enjoyed calling here at Talladega. Of course, make sure you tune in next week. We're going to be racing at Dover. And of course, Miles the Monster, he's going to grab, I do believe, a bunch of race cars, and he's going to take them. We definitely broke a bunch of race cars here tonight, so we might be able to take those broken race cars to him and maybe satiate his hunger. So maybe not as many cars get broken next week. But make sure you tune in. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the broadcast itself begins. Of course, the green flag waves a little after 9:30. Of course, we do want to give a big shout out to Big Al for being here tonight. Of course, Kobe Jordan for always bringing the awesome camera angles. And of course, Kenny Powell for running this whole show. Just awesome season. I'd say the most successful season we've had thus far in the ISCA. But my name is Brian Britt. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
I found the ISCA after I'd been in the service for a long time. I'd been in iRacing for well over a decade and spent most of my time in NASCAR series, a lot of fixed racing for the most part, and really just got to a point in my iRacing career where I really wanted to get involved in open setup racing versus fixed, partially because I was just looking for a little higher level of competition, you know, maybe a little cleaner driving and maybe get away from some of the challenges that go along with fixed racing on the service. And it took me a while as I was really searching out leagues because I kind of had a very specific thing I was looking for. A, I wanted to be an established league. You know, B, I just really wanted clean, quality drivers to be racing around. And once I found the ISCA, I found out really quick that it was going to check all those boxes, and I've been with the ISCA ever since.